Hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to a new edition of the EKN Debrief. And today we will cap off our EKN Trackside live coverage of the opening rounds of this year's Challenge of the Americas. The event held this past weekend at K1 Circuit in Winchester, California. Episode number 164 of the Debrief, Tuesday, February the 24th. Today's show presented by AIM Sports. From its early days, AIM Sports has tailored its innovations to provide precise insights, allowing racers to fine-tune their strategies and push their limits. Fast forward to today, and they are excited to celebrate over 30 years of Micron by introducing the latest evolution in karting data loggers, the Micron 6. Designed with cutting-edge features, including 25 Hz GPS with mil-spec precision, a 6-axis inertial platform, shift lights and alarms, temperature inputs, and many more features. It's perfect for karting enthusiasts looking to enhance their game on the track. Join the AIM Sports community today and equip yourself with the Micron 6 to take your karting experience to the next level. Visit aimsports.com to learn more. AIM Sports, 30 years of Micron. All right, folks, back in the studio after a very early morning wake-up call for us to fly home on Monday morning, having spent the weekend at the Challenge of the Americas event on February 20th to 22nd in Winchester, California. As we said, the beautiful K1 Circuit, the opening 2 rounds of an 8-round, 4-event program for the Challenge. Again, my name's Rob Howden, joined on the show here by David Cole, who was trackside with me all weekend long. David, an early morning, you and I are dragging our feet a little bit, but got to jump back in the studio to cap off our coverage.
Yeah, we'll cap off the challenge opening weekend of the Challenge of the Americas from K1 Circuit. Beautiful weather. Over nice. The weekend. It's a little bit chilly on Friday, but warmed up throughout the weekend. Got all the rain out of its system on Thursday, so that was a positive because everything was dry from Friday to the end of Sunday. And Sunday got nearly up into 80-degree weather, so just into the upper 70s there. So shorts were worn on Sunday, not necessarily Friday and Saturday, but a great warm day. Beautiful weather all weekend long for racing.
Yeah, that sun that came out. Well, the sun was out all weekend long, but as you said, it warmed up. Hardly any clouds at all. Blue skies. Again, yeah, even Sunday was nice and warm. It was really nice. It did get a little cooler at night, but man, it was just a beautiful weekend overall to begin the 19th season of this Challenge of the Americas event. As we always do in the opening segment here on our Debrief podcast, we look at by the numbers. Not a positive right now, obviously, for the Challenge. They drew 68 entries for the opening round. David, we could unpack this for quite a while. Probably a lot of racing going on in Southern California. That new Champions of the Future series that's happening at K1 is drawing some numbers. Just didn't get a ton. I think one of the big things is in the offseason, because if you look at the fact there was 25 drivers in 100cc senior, 14 in the junior class, 25 drivers in 100cc senior is pretty solid. They've got up to 30s in the 30s, which would be better. But it was replacing the then lackluster and almost disappearing shifter classes with the move to the Briggs categories that just didn't get what the series needed, right, Dave? In the end, they ended up with 12 drivers in the Briggs all told. Had they drew 40, then you're looking at over 100 entries. But with just the 12, made it really tough.
Yeah, it's a drop off in both senior and junior 2-cycle categories. Cadet was pretty much about the same from what we saw last year. Masters roughly about the same. So yeah, the drop in numbers in junior seniors certainly hurt the program. Obviously, when you add in the 6, 7, 12 Briggs entries, so that's essentially more than what we saw in shifter last year. So even though it's broken up into 4 different categories, it's still was a positive in terms of that growth, but yeah, overall not exactly the numbers they were expecting to get. Excuse me, as you said, scheduling is just a chaotic thing, and it's not just Challenge; it's other programs that are kind of experiencing that. Even we've talked about Supercars USA; their numbers are down from last year.
Yep.
Florida Winter Tour, their numbers are down last year. This could be a decline in 2026 with the number of events that are happening across the country. Again, you look at club regional programs that are busy with activity. You add in all the different other events that are going on throughout the country. People are picking and choosing where they go. We haven't even got into the regular season of the season yet. So
yeah,
it's just a lot of racing going on. And, you know, some are going to falter. Some are going to maybe be static. Some we're hoping to see some positivity in terms of growth moving forward. But right now, I don't quite see it. We have a number of drivers moving to cars, a number of drivers moving to Europe to go race in karting in Europe there. So again, lots of different factors to kind of go over when you look at.
Yeah. And that's just one of the steps, like one of the blocks of it, right? That you talk about the drivers who have moved to karts or from karts to cars. You're talking maybe 10 or 15 total across, here in the US and over in Europe. Again, another block, right? There's a lot of different blocks. This could be the culmination of these years and years and years. We've had racing every weekend long. We know that the CKNA Spring Nationals are coming up. That's going to be a big event. They just had a race in Biloxi and Mississippi, and it was not well turned. A big, huge turnout. A lot of programs have not had huge turnouts here in Q1. Again, we'll keep an eye on that. That's not what we're going to focus on here, though. We're going to get back into, obviously, the racing action that happened at the challenge. But again, it's part and parcel to some of the trends we're seeing here in the opening weekends of the year. 68 total by the numbers for the opening event of the challenge, 10 in cadet, 14 in 100cc junior, 25 in 100cc senior. That was a good-looking field. As David said, Masters at 7. That's kind of what we see, 7 to 10, sometimes 12 if there's a push. 3 in Briggs Senior, 3 in Briggs Junior, a single Masters driver, and 5 drivers in cadet. That was the lineup of the 68 drivers. So off to our first break. When we get back, we'll hit the Paddock Pass presented by Parolin USA. CRG is one of the most iconic brands in the world of karting with a never-ending focus on winning. Kart CRG USA is the North American distributor for all CRG products. Based outside of Houston, Texas, Kart CRG USA supports CRG dealers across the continent, reaching every corner of North America. The CRG KT5 has been designed specifically for the US market. The KT5 is the perfect fit for X30, KA100, and other tag platforms, featuring the new Aero package and VEN 11B braking system. For cadet drivers, the CRG Black Beer continues to log in victories and championships across the globe and is utilized in both 2-cycle and 4-cycle competition here in North America. Longtime CRG drivers will be happy to know the CRG Road Rebel, the standard in quality and performance, continues its excellence for those in the shifter kart ranks. The CRG FS4 chassis is the ideal choice for racers in Briggs & Stratton competition with numerous podium results across classes at the CKNA divisional and national events. From pure racing to karting entertainment, many tracks, both indoor and outdoor, have made the switch to the CRG Centurion rental kart line. 5 different models for both gas-powered or electric engines can fit any track's needs for a new rental kart fleet. Kart CRG USA has a full inventory of rental karts available for new and existing facilities. For more information on the CRG product line, head to kartcrgusa.com, or to inquire about a North American dealer near you, please email us at sales@kartcrg.com. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. Ignite Karting utilizes the spec Margay Ignite K3 chassis with a Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and the Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the rookie, junior, senior, heavy, and masters classes compete on the same Ignite K3 chassis, which puts all the emphasis squarely on driver development. Additionally, Ignite Karting is accessible at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for the season include the Ignite Majors that begin with the annual trip to the Daytona International Speedway as part of the WKA Daytona Kart Week, running in both the sprint and road racing events. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the regionally based Ignite Challenge, featuring 5 iconic facilities. Local club programs have also been established in states all across the country, Idaho to Texas, Nebraska to New York, with more tracks and clubs joining the Ignite Karting program. Be part of fast, fun, and great memories with Margay Racing at an Ignite track near you. All information on Ignite events and Ignite kart packages, including dealers in your area, are available at ignitekarting.com. Get off the couch and onto the track this year. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. Welcome back to this episode of the EKN Debrief as we unpack this past weekend's opening round of the Challenge of the Americas, the event at K1 Circuit in Winchester, California. Myself, Rob Howden, and David Cole were trackside. We'll jump now into the Paddock Pass presented by Parolin USA. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products. The brand is rich in history and success, dating back to the early 1990s throughout Europe. Today, Parolin is among the winningest brands in the USA and around the world. Carters can head to ParolinUSA.com website where the entire chassis line and parts are available to you, with shipping available across North America within 48 hours. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. All right, David, what do you got for the Paddock Pass here from our trip out to Winchester?
19th year of the challenge. That's a notable number, just one short of 2 decades worth of competition. Yeah. So we started out the 19th year. Just talking about the different in the Paddock Pass, we talked about the different evolutions of the challenge. This year being one of them, we already kind of talked about it in the by the numbers, adding the 4 Briggs categories to the championship program for the first time. It's been kind of one-off events here and there. I got to participate in Briggs racing at Phoenix one year. We had the Briggs shootout last year as well too. So different era, a new era again for the challenge, evolution year, starting off its 19th season.
Yeah, one of the big things too, obviously our second trip to the K1 circuit, when we were there last year, the area that we worked in and a lot of people hung out in, the kind of lounge area and the announcer's booth and their TV production area was all just kind of drywall, and they were working away at it. There was a lot of drywall dust everywhere. Obviously now a year on, it was completed. The lounge area looks fantastic. They have the restaurant open. David, you had a chance to have some lunch there one day. Our area still, I don't think it's completely 100%. They're still kind of playing with it. But for our purposes, we were in the announcer's booth. They've got the tint on the windows, a decent view from what you can see. One of the downfalls of K1 Circuit is from where the paddock is, you can't see the entire racetrack. You can't see essentially once they leave 7 for me. I don't really see 8 hardly at all. Maybe the entry to 9. I lose them after 10 down to 11, and they pop back out for me on the back straightaway. So not the best vantage point. But again, once they get the cameras all set up and down, if you're an announcer, you'll be able to use the cameras to see around the racetrack. Other than that, David, a little different layout this year for K1.
Well, to complement your amenities talk, they did add bleachers as well. I know you didn't go over that way, that direction. I'm not sure if you even saw it.
I couldn't see from the booth.
So to the left of the building, turn 3, they actually added some bleachers. So you do get a little bit of a better vantage point. Again, you still can't see the entire racetrack itself, but a little bit better viewing from down below on the grid to be able to see more of the racetrack. So the viewing area there was busy, especially during the junior and senior categories on the racetrack. So that's another added amenity to the facility as well. And yeah, they're still working on all the video production of everything as well, and getting all that situated. So still work in progress for K1 Circuit. But yes, Challenge did use a different layout. They added the chicane at the end of the long straightaway there, and actually moved the start finish line to the long straightaway. So not in front of the grid where we had the finish line last year. They moved it to the long straight. So very similar to kind of like a Newcastle where they moved it to the longest straightaway. So we did have some photo finishes there, but unfortunately nobody could see the finish except for the photographers and the flagman. So that was a tough one, but the chicane definitely added at least a uniqueness to the circuit, because I think that's one of the kind of the not necessarily negativities, but kind of pushback on the track layout itself is it's really not that difficult. There's no hard braking zones or something that kind of helps separates the field, where drivers going through the chicane definitely did that, because you guys, the drivers are going over 2 of the 3 curbs to try and get a more straight line path through that section. So definitely provided an opportunity for you to make a mistake or for drivers to gain on a competitor through that section.
It also eliminated going through turn 11 on the racetrack, or turn 12 on the racetrack. It eliminated the wild effort of track limits that the race controlled. All the race directors had to go over track limits last year, so that didn't happen, which was great. But otherwise, yeah, David, I think you're right. It put a big challenge into essentially starting a lap, because the start finish line being on the other end. So a lot of overtakes coming into that corner. There was some mistakes there. We saw some contact there, so it was a unique part of the layout, which I enjoyed.
And they used the regular turn 12 for the start, so it made it a little bit easier for competitors there. We didn't have any. I think we had some drivers getting together at the back of the fields going into the corner and in some of the bigger categories, but other than that, you didn't really have any massive incidents at the start for the races.
Exactly that. Yeah, one of the interesting things on the weekend, David, when we were looking at the entry fee, he was a late entry, but we welcome Jake Craig back to Challenge Racing. Good to see him again. Probably the only guy in the field, at least in the senior class, that's for sure, with a couple of kids. So it was good to see Jake back. Obviously, a veteran driver. His name at the top level of national racing for many, many years, has gone on to obviously a career now in real estate and his family. But cool to see him back. And the funny thing is, he looks exactly the same. It doesn't look like he's aged at all, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, a little bit older. Looked a little bit, not too much. So
still in shape, though.
Still passes for a senior driver for sure. Definitely not ready to make that jump to masters quite yet. Age will dictate that probably. But last time he was in the kart was the Super Nationals back in 2021. So it had been some time. Got invited by Greg Welch and the Forward Direction Motorsports crew to help with some testing last weekend, and they decided to race him for the weekend. And so it was kind of a one-off deal. He enjoys being back in the seat. He prefers the 125 engine packages a little bit more. So
and why?
Well, I mean, everybody knows, with the 100cc packages, your right elbow becomes a punching bag with the engine. So I haven't had that experience yet. You have.
Yeah, he was showing us his bruise. I've got pictures of my bruises from the Summer Nationals too. But yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, so he hopes to make a comeback, or not necessarily a full-time comeback, but to try and dabble back into the driver's seat in the future again.
Love it. All right, off to our second break, folks. When we get back, time to dive into the race report. We'll have a look at 100cc senior, junior in the next group here. And again, our race report will be brought to you by Comet Kart Sale. See you on the other side of this break. Motor mounts. They keep your engine attached to your chassis, right? The answer is they're much more important than that. Your motor mount is critical in transferring 100% of the power from your engine through to your tires and the racetrack. You need this to get on the podium each and every time you race. Odenthal Racing Products is here for you, providing the best motor mounts on the karting market today, all designed to make sure you're using all the horsepower you pay for. Odenthal Racing Products is a family-owned and operated business with decades of karting experience in providing products with unmatched quality and value for our racing community. The Pro Series mount for 2-cycle engines, which is available in 0, 5, and 8-degree inclinations, provides a rigid structure to help keep vibration to a minimum without adding too much weight to your setup. The 4-cycle Easy Set system is one of the most popular mounts for the Briggs & Stratton 206 power plant. Multiple mounting holes provide the most adjustability depending on your chassis and seat placement. To ensure a tight fit to your chassis, our ORP wedge clamps get the job done, and they feature a number of design updates to provide a lower profile and lighter weight. The clamps are available from 28mm to 32mm in both standard and Euro style sizes. And now, Odenthal has also revolutionized the karting industry with its new Easy GP camera mounting system. Designed to mount anywhere on your chassis with 1 or 2 cameras, the ORP Easy GP camera mount is your solution to capture that onboard winning moment. Head to odenthalracing.com and find a dealer near you. Odenthal Racing Products, proudly made in the USA.
The karting championship that's taken Europe by storm and helped launch today's top open-wheel stars is now in the United States. Introducing Champions of the Future America. Champions of the Future America is a 9-round series that welcomes drivers across multiple classes, including Mini, KA100, and X30. Champions of the Future America tours two of the Southwest's premier karting facilities, K1 Circuit in Southern California and Spring Mountain Karting Complex in Nevada. Drivers will compete across 8 unique track layouts in pursuit of a prize pool valued at over $130,000. The ultimate reward? Our X30 Pro champion will win an all-expenses-paid trip to France for a 3-day Formula 4 training camp at the legendary Winfield Racing School at Circuit Paul Ricard. Learn more about Champions of the Future America. Register now at championskartingamerica.com. That's championskartingamerica.com.
Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, episode number 164 of the EKN Debrief, capping off our coverage of this past weekend's Challenge of the Americas opener at K1 Circuit in California. Diving now into the race report presented by Comet Kart Sales. History, success, family. These are the 3 words that describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation is located just outside Indianapolis and has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in their near 6 decades of business. Their brand new, updated online store features everything you need, and they are continually adding new parts to their product line. Make sure to head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today. All right, into the race report right now. I'll start with Senior 100cc presented by Forward Direction Motorsports. As always, I'll offer the headline. David can start filling in some of the news. I was there as well, so I can help out this time. Headline, Ports and Eversman win in dramatic fashion.
Yeah, Senior 100cc had the largest category or largest field of the weekend, and it was led by senior rookie Jackson Gibson at 105.621, led the way in qualifying and was able to pull it off the pre-final win ahead of Neilton Race Concepts driver teammate Jonathan Ports with another senior rookie, Xander Malatesta, there in the 3rd position. It ended up being a Gibson Ports breakaway. Gibson and Benjamin Highland. Benjamin Highland, a very impressive Saturday. The driver out of Colorado for Rylance. Yes, that's what I thought. Okay. Tired.
You folks, just so you know, our wake-up call was 3:30 in the morning.
Yesterday
on Monday morning. Yeah. My goodness, it was a rough day yesterday. So, like I said, David and I are both walking wounded right now.
Well, I'm two. Yeah, we're both 2 events in a row, back to back.
Yeah,
so,
true.
Yeah,
I was on all week. That's right. Yeah.
It was actually Gibson and Highland that broke away from the field early. Ports was able to work his way towards the front of the group in battling for P3. Was able to run down the top 2 drivers, took over the lead lap 9, and from there it was him showing the experience. I guess couple of years in the senior ranks. I can't remember how long he's been racing in the senior ranks, but definitely the experience paid off for Ports as he was able to take it to the young drivers, pulling away at the end for a 1.2 margin of victory for Ports, taking the victory.
Yeah, Gibson finishing in 2nd. Benjamin Highland, a very impressive run, as David had said, working his way onto the podium in 3rd. Johnny Stamps was 4th, and Eric Doan rounded out the top 5. Rolling into Sunday, Ports kept it going. He had a good pace there, 105.006, about over half a second faster than Saturday. But again, as we talked about earlier, it warmed up considerably for Sunday morning. It was probably 55 or maybe 57 degrees for qualifying in the morning. Eventually it would be 74 by race time. They got rolling again in the pre-final for sure. There was an interesting thing on Saturday pre-final, and that was, just to throw it out there, that was the battle between Archer Eversman and Jackson Gibson. They had some contact in the pre-final on Saturday that put Eversman to the back. They had to look at it. It was a close call. It just kind of plays into Eversman stepping things up here on Sunday. Gibson, though, David, will come away with the pre-final again. Johnny Stamps in 2nd, Jonathan Ports in 3rd.
Yeah, and Eversman, I was actually back to P13 in the pre-final after a penalty as well that pushed him back to outside the top 10. The main event started with Ports and Gibson able to break away, so the 2 Nelson Race Concept drivers working together. Eventually, Eversman was able to put himself into the front of the battle for 3rd, and kind of eventually break away from them and gaining very little ground on the top two as they were kind of nose to tail. But as the closing laps happened, the top two battled back and forth, and including the last lap battle, which eventually ended with contact between both Ports and Gibson. Gibson got the worst of it as he was spun around in the middle of a straightaway prior to the last corner. And Eversman took advantage of that. Ports went on the defensive as he gathered himself back together. Eversman pulled the over-under on him going into the final corner and was able to cross the line first, winning by just 20 thousandths of a second, with Eversman picking up his first challenge victory.
Yeah, so penultimate lap number 16 of 18. I think it was a 2.9 second lead. So Ports and Gibson, Gibson was leading. Ports was right there in second. Here we go. They kind of worked together for 16 laps. It's time to trying to drop the hammer. We've got ourselves a big gap. Eversman was back, like I said. Well, they started, it's turn 4. It's, covering off in turn 8 and then 11. Those 3 corners kind of where you kind of block a little bit, but you lose runs onto bigger parts. Blocking in 4, you lose the run through the 5, 6, 7 S's. Anyways, we end up, of course, they're going at it. All of a sudden, Eversman's 1.3 back, as I recall, when they took the white flag. I'm like, this thing isn't over yet. And Eversman got a great run. I want to say there was a bit of a block into the S's or into the chicane at the end of the straightaway. Eversman had a fantastic run out of the chicane, and then they went at it. So literally, they out of turn number 8, back towards the paddock, 9, the right-hander back up the hill, and Ports. Eversman was probably I think maybe 2-3 cart lengths back from where my vantage point. As soon as they crested, went around turn number 10, back down to 11. Ports went to the inside and was trying to make the run. I didn't see the contact, but I could see the yellow flags go up. Right, because we couldn't see it from there, but the yellow flags were going in after their contact, and then as we know, David, they came out of turn number 11. Big run for Archer Eversman, got the draft. You mentioned Ports kind of going on the defensive, and the margin of the line, 0.02 of a second. Eversman able to steal it away. It should never have happened, but the two Nelson drivers getting together, and we had an exciting finish. Why not?
Yeah, no team orders in that scenario for sure.
No doubt about that. Eversman shooting the arrow as he came across the line. He was able to get by Ports. Johnny Stamps ended up in 3rd spot. Eric Doan in 4th, and Xander Malatesta. All 3 of those drivers were fast in that second group. But once Ports and Gibson got away working as teammates, I thought it was over. It was not. Archer Eversman coming away with a big win.
Yeah, Gibson, Doan, Malatesta, all senior rookies. I got to think Highlands at the younger side as well, too. Not sure if this is his first senior year or if he's got a year or 2 under his belt, but definitely one of the younger drivers. Stamps as well, too, into his second year in the senior ranks. So a lot of young drivers here. Eversman as well, too, at the front of the order.
Agreed. Let's go to Junior 100cc presented by Nash Motorsports. Here's the headline. It's an Anderson double with Cole and Peyton each earning a victory.
And we thought it was going to be Cameron Johnson, the driver out of Wisconsin who traveled to California for the opener of the Challenge in the Americas, as he was the top driver in both qualifying sessions. We'll start off with Saturday at 106.224, set the pace in the time session, and he was able to translate that into a pre-final win ahead of his teammates Hudson Hidalgo and Peyton Anderson under the Nash Motorsports tent. The main event, however, the rest of the group kind of kept it close. Eventually, it was Cole Anderson making the move up from P5 to P2 early. And then eventually Cole and Johnson were out front, but they got caught up by the second group. That was led by Braden Wagner. So Wagner helped bring the second group back in. They started battling for the lead over the next 5 laps. Eventually, Cole Anderson got to the lead and held on over the final lap as the GFC driver was able to take the victory by 76 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, Wagner did a great job coming back forward, and like you said, kind of led that next group to go chase down the leaders. Did a really good job. Cole Anderson, a big win though, like you said, 76 thousandths of a second. Peyton Anderson coming second. Cameron Johnson, as you said, out of the gate was so impressive. He ends up finishing third. Mason Moses in the fourth spot. Braden Wagner rounding out the top five. Rolling into Sunday, David, you said it. Cameron Johnson topped both qualifying sessions, a 105.914. Again, 0.3 quicker in the better weather, the warmer temperatures on Sunday. He would go on to win the pre-final over Peyton Anderson and Taylor Noble. Taylor Noble stepped things up big time on Sunday and was right in the middle of the battle. I think he led for a time in the main event as well, but the main event was a really good one as well. Another, just both of the 100cc senior and junior, just really exciting racing.
Yeah, and actually Braden Wagner was second in the pre-final, but a penalty dropped him down to fifth. Well, Wagner picked up the pace once again in the main event. This time he and Peyton Anderson were able to kind of break away from the field. So it was just a two-driver battle there at the front. Eventually, Peyton Anderson took the lead coming to the white flag. She was able to hold on through the final lap. And again, another photo finish with that long straightaway run. Just 27,000 separating the top two, with Anderson taking the victory over Wagner.
And I know it's only a 14-cart field, but I'm pretty sure that Wagner, I think, swapped the motor too and got the penalty for swapping the motor. I think he started at the tail of the field like 13th in the pre-final on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe there was something regarding that.
Yeah, because I was talking to Shelby about it. I think he was one of the drivers that swapped. Yeah. We had a number of drivers that swapped motors and had to start at the tail of the field on Sunday. Regardless, he was able to work his way forward. Had a really good run in the pre-final and got himself forward.
Yeah, 13th. 13th.
There you go.
Started the pre-final in 13th.
Yeah, yep. So he had swapped the motor, was able to work his way forward, had a good run in the pre-final, and as you said, was able to kind of pull away with Peyton Anderson. But she did a really good job in the main event to get the win. Wagner coming home second. Johnson, another podium in third. Taylor Noble, like I said, very impressive to come home P4. And Hudson Hidalgo, who ran, of course, as we know, up front with Cameron earlier in the weekend, ends up P5 in the order. So all told, David, some really good racing in both 100cc senior and junior.
Yeah, Hidalgo, a junior rookie. Johnson, Cameron Johnson, a junior rookie. So yeah, very good performances by those young drivers.
We get back to continue the race report presented by Comet Kart Sales. We will look at the 100cc Masters category and 60cc Cadet. All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the United States, OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. 8 brands under the OTK USA banner are winning races and championships across the country in national programs like the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour, the Challenge of the Americas, the SCUSA Pro Tour and Winter Series, the United States Pro Kart Series, and even more programs throughout the country. And OTK products are also front and center on the podium of club and regional races from coast to coast. Tony Kart, Cosmic, Esprit, EOS, and Red Speed have been joined by the Gallard, LN Racing Kart, and CS55 brands. To learn more about a specific product line or to find the OTK USA dealer near you, visit otkusa.com. Specific chassis territories are still available, so kart shops interested in adding a winning component to their product lineups can contact OTK USA directly. OTK, the gold standard of karting. Welcome back to episode 164 of the EKN Debrief, capping off our EKN Trackside live coverage of the opening round of the Challenge of the Americas from Southern California this past weekend. David Cole and I were both trackside for the event. Continuing with our race report presented by Comet Kart Sales, we'll go to Masters 100cc presented by Ruthless Karting. And here's the headline: Welch doubles with 2 different engine packages.
Saturday began with Greg Welch on the IAME-powered Patano chassis, putting down a 107.388 in qualifying to lead the way. He went on to win the pre-final ahead of Forward Direction Motorsports teammate Scott Falcone, with Christopher Mann there in the 3rd spot. And then it was a wire-to-wire performance by Welch. They kind of pressured him early. Falcone slipped back to 3rd. Mann was the next driver to kind of put the pressure on, but nothing nothing really happened as Welch went on to take the victory by 1.4 seconds.
Yeah, 1.4 seconds is not really what it means, because a man kind of checked up on the last lap. Man was all over him for the second half of that race, David, as you recall, putting pressure. Number one, he reeled him in. He was a second and a half back, I think, reels in Welch, gets there, and just couldn't. I talked to him afterwards. I was kind of getting on him a bit for not trying a move, because he was all on top of Welch. He said he just didn't think he had enough to make a clean move. And Chris is a clean driver. He didn't want to throw it in there and kind of just get rough, or didn't want to bump and run him. But he was on Welch for those last couple of laps. I was sure he was going to find a way by. Wasn't able to get it done. I think he tried one place. I want to say he tried on the entry into the chicane, I think, in the second lap.
That was Sunday. I think that was Sunday.
Whatever it was, he tried, didn't get it. That's why it says 1.4 seconds. Welch was not that far in front. Let's put it that way. Man was right there. Scott Falcone kind of by himself in third spot, a little further back. Ed Quinn ends up in the fourth position on the LN cart, and Jeff Bays ended up finishing in P5. But it was wire to wire on Saturday for Welch. But he was definitely challenged by Man.
Yeah, I think it was Saturday. So Sunday, Falcone ended up being the top driver in qualifying, a 107.033. Welch actually changed engines, so only did a couple laps in qualifying because he was going to start dead last in the pre-final, and he went from 7th to 2nd in the pre-final as Falcone took the victory ahead of Welch and Ed Quinn in the third spot. Man, however, joined the top two of Falcone and Greg Welch up front. They were able to break away. But issue on as they began lap 10 going into the chicane, it looked like Welch was going to make a move on Falcone for the lead. Falcone gave him room. Welch pulled back, didn't make the move. So Falcone went into the corner, the right-hand corner wide, kind of got into the marbles a little bit. So it's kind of slowed up his pace. And then Welch hit the curb kind of incorrectly. Eventually those two made contact. Man, I think, slammed into one of them as well, too. So Falcone went spinning around. Welch had his pace slowed down by the contact. Man got by both of them and ended up leading the way after that, with Falcone retiring after getting turned back around the right way. Eventually, though, Welch took over the lead on lap 14, and then from there was able to hold off Man. And Man, like you said, kept the pressure going. But again, it looked like the end of the straightaway was his kind of moment where he wanted to make the move, and just didn't go all in. It was a photo finish, however, only 69 thousandths of a second separating the top two, as Welch was able to take the victory ahead of Man.
I'll say two things. First off, I'm glad you were able to give the detail and saw that, because I didn't see that. I couldn't add anything to it. I was watching the battle. I literally looked back at the battle between Bays, Quinn, and Wallace. Those three drivers were having a great fight for what was then fourth, fifth, and sixth. When I looked back over, all of a sudden, I couldn't find Falcone. That lead group of three kind of broken up. So indeed, Falcone was out of the race at that point. But as you said, Welch, not a tight margin. Man, again, made a really good run out of turn number 11 to try to drag race into the line. I'll say this: if there was any part of the racetrack where Welch was better than anybody, it was coming out of turn 3. As you climb back up the hill, right? The 1, 2, 3 combination. Like, I would lose him a little bit as I'm trying to look out the window to my left. But Falcone would be literally on top, and so was Man on top of Welch. The minute they reappeared in my view, he had 2 cart lengths. He was that Pantano, he was rolling through turn 3, and that gave him the gap I think he needed all the way down through over to turn number 8.
It's a tricky little section there because it's flat out. And I sat there during a lot of compression, because you're going uphill and then it's kind of a dip, and then you're going back uphill again through turn 3. And watching the junior guys, there's so much sawing at the wheel. So I think Greg just gets through there so much better. So it probably is a little bit of a chassis setup, but I think more driver input more than anything, because again, it's just a very fast. It's almost like a Monza corner in a way, but like only at a 90 degree instead of like a 180. And it's just it's a very unique. I mean, we haven't driven it yet, so but it's a very unique corner. And to stand there on the inside and watching, like especially the junior drivers, a lot of them that you can see that are kind of struggling, they're sawing at the wheel, and that just kills them going up the hill. And like you said, Greg was super good coming out of that corner and was able to gap guys going up to turn 4.
And let's give Greg Welch his due, right? This isn't a driver who just kind of showed up the last couple of years. He's been in the industry for a long time. Family was in the industry. He runs Forward Direction Motorsports. He is a Super Nationals winner, ladies and gentlemen, from 1990, I think it's 2000 maybe, in the 60cc novice shifter category. So again, he's been racing for 26 plus years. So yeah, a veteran driver, and anytime he gets behind the wheel, he really probably, on the West Coast, he's been the kind of the class of the Masters field. So great job for Greg Welch coming away with a couple of wins there, not without some excitement, not without a little bit of maybe controversy in terms of the contact with Falcone, on lap 10 of that one, but nonetheless, a couple of big wins for Welch.
I will confirm it was 2000.
There you go. Thank you. I appreciate that. Went to the spreadsheet. You
I
got that open quick.
You were talking a long time, so I was able to open it. Yeah,
that's what I was doing. I was trying to give you some time to get there. Good for you. Cadet 60cc presented by P1 Engines. The headline: Blair and Tarango split weekend.
Yeah, Forrest Blair stepped up and was the driver to beat on Saturday and pulled off a sweep for the Cadet 60cc division. A 112.474 led the way in qualifying, as he was able to take that to a pre-final win ahead of, I can't remember Shiflett's first name. Braxton, that's what it was. Braxton Shiflett and Lucas Tarango in the third spot. It ended up being a Blair Shiflett breakaway as they were able to drop Tarango from the draft. So it was a GFC 1-2. Blair ended up crossing the line ahead of Shiflett for the victory. The margin of victory is a 5.27 margin of victory because of a 3-second penalty jump start for Shiflett. But in the end, it's still a career first victory for Forrest Blair.
Yeah, he was great all weekend long, not only in this 60cc class, but in the Briggs as well. But indeed, Blair wins. Shiflett comes in second. Lucas Tarango in third. Emiliano Hernandez in fourth. And Michael Dean rounded out the top 5. Tarango may have not got the win on Saturday, but he came out of the gate and essentially matched Blair in terms of the sweep, qualified on pole with a 112.061. Again, about 0.4 quicker, leaning towards that warmer temperatures. Was able to win the pre-final as well. And he and Blair, David, got away early and quickly in the main event to make it a 2-driver battle. And from there, they just fought it out. Well, actually, they didn't fight it out. They literally did exactly what you're supposed to do throughout the entire 15-lap race. They ran nose to tail. They did swap the spot a couple of times, as I recall.
Yes.
But nothing that would have made them lose a lot of time, right? A nice, easy pass. They each kind of took turns up front, but they were able to pull away.
Yeah, and it helped that there was a group of drivers behind them kind of racing for third. So, again, the gap didn't change too much between the top 2 and the rest of the pack. But, yeah, they exchanged position a couple of times, and then in the end came down to a photo finish, only 0.004 of a second. Probably I think it was the closest finish we had. I saw a capture of the finish line camera. Yep. And it was pretty close.
Wow.
So, but in the end, Tarango took the victory and was able to complete the sweep on Sunday.
Blair coming home in second. Maddox Carlucci, who was very quick on Saturday as well, but a minor mistake took him out of the race early on. Maddox ends up in third in this race here. Great job to get onto the podium. Hernandez and Dean once again in the 4th and 5th positions. All right, back to another break. When we come back, it's time to jump into our Briggs and Stratton categories. We'll go through the cadet, junior, senior, and master when we get back after this break. There's a new hot button name in American safety equipment, Stilo USA. Every product with Stilo is focused on safety, comfort, and function. Stilo USA is happy to provide you with the proper safety apparel to keep you protected on the track, and their karting lineup is second to none. New to the product lineup is the Stilo Carbon CMR karting helmet. Designed to revolutionize your karting experience, this carbon fiber crafted helmet is among the lightest on the market, without compromising on safety. The Stilo ST5 KRT karting helmet is manufactured using a lightweight and extremely strong composite material. The KRT provides an excellent fit and comfort level due to its dual density interior foam lining, and it's equipped with a symmetrical visor that offers excellent vision and an effortless central visor locking system. The Stilo ST5 CMR standard was developed jointly by the FIA Institute and Snell Memorial Foundation to ensure safer and lighter weight helmets for younger karters. Drivers rave about the superior comfort levels, lightweight construction, and the unparalleled field of vision that is perfect for the youth helmet line. Stilo didn't stop with their helmets either. The newly developed Carbon Curva rib protector is unlike any other on the market, with a form-fitting solution to offer superior protection. The Carbon Curva 8870 version is FIA homologated and includes a chest protector. Head to StiloHelmets.com to review these products and many more to keep you safe on the track. Stilo, any competition, one helmet. Back at it here on the EKN Radio Network, our Debrief podcast, capping off our coverage of the Challenge of the Americas opener at K1 Circuit. The race report today presented by Comet Kart Sales. We'll dive into Briggs Cadet, presented by Acceleration Kart Racing. Here's the headline. Tarango doubles up in inaugural class debut.
Yeah, the class debut for Briggs Cadet at the Challenge was led by Lucas Tarango. A sweep on Saturday, a 115.972 put him on top of the qualifying session and translated that into a pre-final win ahead of Michael Dean and Mateo Gomez. It was a photo, basically a photo finish there as well, because you had 4 of the 5 drivers all within a couple tenths of each other there. So great little battle to start out the pre-final action, because they were the first class on the racetrack in the schedule. However, in the main event, Tarango led 14 of the 15 laps with Forrest Blair right there as the top contender, as they were able to kind of break away from the rest of the field. And again, a photo finish, only 66 thousandths of a second, with Tarango taking the inaugural victory ahead of Forrest Blair.
Yeah, Michael Dean in the comp cart finishing in third. Mateo Gomez and Kubica in the 4th spot, and Jack Watkins on the Esprit finishing P5. It'll be Forrest Blair coming out of the gate with a 115.970 qualifying on Sunday. He takes the pole position, but once again, Tarango able to come away with the pre-final race win over Blair. Gomez in that 3rd spot. That's really what it kind of lined up to in this category. It was kind of Blair and Tarango, and then was Gomez and Dean working together. We had a lot of those 2x2s kind of were running throughout the weekend. In the main, David, Forrest Blair actually led a majority of the race. Tarango locked on the rear bumper, setting things up for the final couple of laps.
Yeah, Blair broke up the perfect score for Tarango, taking that top qualifier honor, as Tarango was able to go to the lead with 2 laps to go in the main event and hold him off. I think Blair made a slight little bobble coming to the white flag or just during the white flag lap. So that gapped Tarango enough to able to cross the line first, winning by just over half a second.
Yeah, Blair finishing in the 3rd spot. Mateo Gomez up into the 3rd, rather. Blair was 2nd. Michael Dean in 4th spot, and Jack Watkins again, P5. Jack kept getting faster throughout the weekend. Couldn't quite stay with Gomez and Dean, but got a lot of track time for young Jack Watkins for sure. Let's go to the Briggs combined race now here. And essentially we had 3 drivers in senior, 3 drivers in junior, and the single masters class. So we'll throw out Bruce Norman getting the win in the masters in all the categories, kind of trying to stick with the guys in the senior class as much as he possibly could. But again, Bruce coming away with those 2 wins as the lone masters driver.
Picked up 8 tenths on Sunday.
Yeah. So I'm saying at that one point, because Ayrton Littell came to run in the category in senior at one point in the pre-final. I think at the start, Ayrton kind of checked back, because really everybody in the field with other than Sawyer Austin was with Littell's team, the Scuderia Littell on the GFC. So he jumped in with his drivers, and he was kind of pushing Bruce a bit, then got by Bruce, and then Bruce stayed with him. So we all know that you get that rabbit in front of you that can help you out a little bit, and Bruce definitely stepped his game up, which was great. But David, let's go. The headline is full slate of Briggs classes make debut at Challenge. Let's start with the Saturday action with London Zarkos being the fastest driver. Very impressive. It's kind of Zarkos versus Groff in that one.
Yeah, Zarkos and Groff went back and forth. Zarkos just had a little bit more on Saturday, was able to take the victory by 2 tenths over Groff, with Sawyer Austin there finishing in 3rd on the LN kart for Ryland's team. And then on Sunday, Zarkos and Groff got together through the chicane section. I want to say lap 4 or 5, maybe a little bit after that. And one of them had a damaged front end. I'm not sure if the other one just wasn't able to get restarted, but they both retired. So that allowed Sawyer Austin to come through and run unchallenged to the victory in Briggs Jr.
And in the senior category, it was Horace Walker and Miles Harrison. And the great thing is they were just locked and loaded the entire time. And on Sunday, you throw Ayrton Littell in there. And literally, they were nose to tail, and they would go back and forth and back and forth. And at one point, I think they were running with Sawyer Austin as well. She was in the fight. They tried all to stay together. Let's put it this way. Out of the gate, they were all kind of together. The juniors and seniors were running together for a majority of the start of the race. They eventually kind of gapped each other. Walker would come away with the win on Saturday over Miles Harrison. Things kind of changed around a bit, David, on Sunday as Harrison, Walker, and Littell all led at some time during that race.
They did. They all led at one point, and they were, after the junior drivers wrecked in front of them, they were able to lead the way as Sawyer Austin kind of trailed the 3 senior drivers. And like you said, all 3 led at one point, but it ended up being Miles Harrison taking the victory by just over a tenth ahead of Walker.
Yeah, it was good stuff. I always love seeing good pack racing in the Briggs categories. But again, that wraps up our race report, actually, for this program. The Briggs Combined category brought to you by Nelliton Race Concepts. One more break. When we get back, we'll have a look at the Constructors' Championship. David will wrap things up, and we'll look at the EKN Trackside Live race calendar. To race against the best in the West, you head to the Challenge of the Americas. The popular program will celebrate its 19th season in 2026 and has become the headline championship in the western half of North America. The 2026 season begins in SoCal at the new K1 circuit in Winchester, California on the February 20th to 22nd weekend. The challenge then returns to the Phoenix Kart Racing Association after 2 years away, heading back to PKRA on April 17th to the 19th. The Challenge of the Americas then heads to the Colorado Karting Circuit at Centennial Airport for the first time in its history. The first ever challenge event in the Centennial State takes place on May 29 to 31. The championships will be decided once again at the Sonoma Raceway, with Wine Country welcoming the final 2 rounds of 2026 on July 10 to 12. In addition to 4 two-cycle categories for the senior, junior, masters, and cadet levels, the challenge is welcoming Briggs & Stratton 206 divisions for the same age groups in 2026. All categories will be racing on the Schenkel Racing Kart tires. To learn more, head to challengekarting.com. Welcome back. Time to cap things off. Our final segment here on the EKN Debrief to wrap up our coverage of the Challenge of the Americas opener from K1 Circuit in Winchester, California. Rob Howden here alongside David Cole. David, let's have a look at the Constructors' Championship. 16 wins all total. We had a couple of different categories, as we know, in the Briggs groups. 6 brands, though, grabbing wins on the weekend.
Yeah, big weekend for GFC with 7 victories. Obviously, the Briggs category certainly helped in that route. Nitro Kart picking up 3, all those done by Lucas Tarango in the cadet divisions. Ellen Kart picking up 2, Patano 2 with Greg Welch, and Gallard and Red Speed, the other chassis brands, to pick up a win each.
Let's have a look at and wrap things up here. It's one of the things I waited for the end of each day, and both days was perfect, clean racing, no red flags. That's one of the big things on the weekend. You know, there was some hardcore racing going on, but no red flags at all.
Yeah, no incidents that required the medical team to go out to the racetrack or the race to stop at all. So it was a overall safe weekend. Only a couple incidents really to speak about. A couple start here, couples at the. Actually, I think we had a couple contact situations at the start going through turns 2, 3, and 4. But other than that, a relatively safe weekend throughout the weekend.
And as we said before, no track limits issues. That was the talking point when the challenge went to K1 last year. So many drivers in that fast turn number 12, just overcooking it and getting off, getting 2 wheels to the left, 4 wheels to the left side of the white line. It was just a bunch of BS. It was nice for the race control, at least, not to have to deal with that this time around.
Yeah, race control had a lot less work to do this year with that track limit situation, not part of the event. So all in all, good regarding that, because it made for pretty much normal day at the challenge.
Yeah, overall, good atmosphere trackside as well. We did have to wait a little bit at the end of the day on Sunday. We did ready racing throughout the day. We got 15 minutes back. We started the mains about 15 minutes early. We were about a half an hour early to cap off the day. Could have had potentially 4:30 podiums, not 5 o'clock, but protests, counter protests, appeals, back and forth. I think we ended up doing 5:30 podiums. So would love to have had it wrapped up earlier, but it was great atmosphere, good feeling, good track. As we know, the weather was perfect, mid 60s, 70s, beautiful blue skies. A really great racing weekend in Southern California. David, we go from there to a couple months, actually, almost a couple of months, a little over 6 weeks. The return to the Phoenix Kart Racing Association facility. It's been a couple of years since the challenge has been at PKRA. Scheduled to get there April 17th to 19th.
Yeah, 2023 was the last year that the challenge was there, and looking for a return back, as you said, through in the middle portion of April, so just after spring break action for many of us here in the northern part of the country.
All right, let's wrap it up with the EKN Trackside Live race calendar. A lot of events on our calendar for 2026. Today, the calendar brought to you by Rollison Performance Group. At the Rollison Performance Group, we strive for ultimate success. We're more than just an arrive and drive race team with countless wins on the national and regional level. Our focus is on complete driver development, and that's where the success is fueled. We combine one-on-one coaching, on-track instruction, and intensive data debriefing with unparalleled kart and engine prep. Our program will help you raise your game. We'll take you to the next level. If that's your goal, RPG needs to be your next move. Experience the Rollison difference. All right, David Cole. Again, like you said, we're kind of chilling here, at least for the next little bit. About a month off, a couple of races coming, and they're both at the Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson, Arizona. You're going to kick things off. You'll be there actually back-to-back weekends. We had announced this, helped announce it, I guess, when the PR came out at the SCUSA Winter Series race. But the Race Rotax RMC America's Trophy, a new 2-weekend program, kicking off the week before the SCUSA Pro Tour Winter Nationals at Musselman, March 20th to the 22nd. The RMC America's Trophy kick things off.
It'll kick things off 2 rounds of racing for the new championship program that'll start in Arizona and finish up in Ohio. But the March 20th through 22nd event is said to be a pretty popular one because it's going to be the weekend before the SCUSA Pro Tour Winter Nationals, which will be held on March 27th through the 29th at the same facility. So a lot of activity over those 2 weekends.
Yeah, back-to-back, March 20th to 22nd, March 27th to 29th. I will join David at Tucson for the SuperKarts USA Winter Nationals. My schedule this year allowing me to once again be able to help call the entire Pro Tour, all 3 events alongside the guys at Kart Chaser. Looking forward to that for sure. I love Musselman Honda Circuit as a pure racetrack. And if you've listened to any of our podcasts, you hear me constantly talk about how great the track is itself. Just the amount of overtakes, the way you need the wide entry into the corners allows to open up on the inside, but it also allows for a lot of over-unders. It's just a fun racetrack in terms of actual wheel-to-wheel competition. So looking forward to getting out to Musselman Honda Circuit for that one. They've paved the paddock area. It's never been like that in the past. They paved the driveway on the way in. That's, of course, will make things nicer when you get there and when you leave. But overall, the repave is going to be big for the event. And David, the paddock will be packed, to say the least, for that event.
Yeah, they've already had over 100 entries for the Winter Nationals in the last 24 hours since registration has opened. So no extending of the categories. They're all going to be capped. So it's very crucial for competitors to get their entry in right away.
There you go, folks. That wraps up episode 164 of the EKN Debrief, capping off our coverage again of the Challenge of the Americas opener from K1 Circuit in Winchester, California, mid-April for the next event at the Phoenix Kart Racing Association. David Cole will be trackside for that one. I'm not sure where I am at that point. I think I'm at the USF Juniors race at Carolina Motorsports Park that weekend, so not able to make it out there. Conflicts happen every once in a while with my USF Pro Championships events. David, final thoughts before we cap this one off?
Challenge is underway, 19th season. Again, a beautiful weekend we had in K1 at the K1 circuit. The 2026 season is underway.
That's it, folks. For me, too. Obviously, David did the Winter Series events with Scusa, but that was my first karting event of the year, 2026. And again, for us, David kind of marches things on. We'll roll all the way through the schedule to the Scusa Super Nationals in November in Las Vegas. Looking forward to that. But again, the season is underway for us. It's underway for the Challenge of the Americas. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We do appreciate it. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.